In the Gospels, we're witness of three different characters that interact with angels, receiving special announcement from the angels. Our Blessed Mother Mary, Joseph, and Zechariah. But the only one that receives a punishment from God for not believing is Zechariah. Apparently, Mary and Joseph immediately accepted and believed the message of an angel. But I was wondering, why does Zechariah doubt? Think about it. Zechariah, he was a priest. Zechariah was married with Elizabeth, who was a daughter of a priestly lineage. Of them both, it is said in the text today, they were righteous before the eyes of God. We could assume that Zechariah knew scriptures. And we could assume that Zechariah knew about the first reading and about Sarah and Anna and so many women from the Old Testament that were bearing and conceived. So I wonder, why did Zechariah not believe the angel? Didn't he know scriptures? Hadn't he heard before about women that were barren in their advanced years that conceived? Why did Joseph believe? I know Joseph, they used the same adjective. He was a righteous man. Zechariah was also righteous. But why did Zechariah fail to believe? This is my theory. I think that Zechariah was disappointed by God. He was disappointed of God. And sometimes people that come to church, that come to Mass, that have faith, also become disappointed of God. And I'll give you two examples that I think could be useful. Sometimes mothers who have fallen away children from the faith are disappointed by God. They come to Mass. They're righteous before God. They've heard about St. Monica and St. Augustine, but they become disappointed by God. And they go like, that's never going to happen to me. That happened to St. Monica. And you tell them, but haven't you heard about St. Monica? And they're like, yeah, I've heard about it, but... And they become disappointed by God. So in a sense, their heart is divided because they believe, but another part of their heart is like, but that's not going to happen to me. Now, another example is sometimes people struggle with addictions. And sometimes people continually find themselves disappointed because they relapse in their addiction. And I've heard from the mouth of many people who suffer addiction, I'm disappointed in God and I'm angry in God because I thought that God by now should have done something different, something to solve my problem. So what I'm trying to say is, even for righteous people, even for people that come to Mass, we could suffer from the same thing that happened to Zechariah, disappointment. Yes, we know that God did this for other people, but He won't do it for me. But look at what happened with Zechariah. I imagine that Zechariah saw the other priests and he was perhaps a little envious of them having children. I imagine that Zechariah, an old priest, maybe a new priest came around and the new priest had the news that he was going to bore a son. And I think Zechariah's heart was troubled. But God did something amazing for Zechariah. He gave him a son that no other priest could boast about having. A son filled with the Holy Spirit, a son that was a new Elijah. What is it that I'm trying to say? Zechariah is the greatest proof that when we're most disappointed, God will surprise us with something beyond our imagination. So today, brothers and sisters, let me finish with this. In any way are you disappointed by God? In any way were you hoping that God would do something for you that He hasn't done, and in a part of your heart you're disappointed in Him? Today look at Zechariah, and today is a day to remember that no matter how barren the situation may appear to be, God will always surprise you with something beyond your imagination.